and show these youths. Talk up yourself, the youths to know them roots. Nurture them, protect and love and hear these youths. Music make them know.
Welcome back, guys, to our Talk Up Youth. So you know, in our last episode, we spoke on sexual transmitted infection, and this week we're here today, and we're going to talk about, does relationship actually takes work? And actually 5 ways to improve communication with your spouse. I am your host, Rochelle Beavers, and with me we have Trevonique. And also on Zoom we have a guest speaker, Trevonique Campbell. So Terry, tell me, does relationship actually takes work?
Rochelle, and to tell you the truth, I do believe that relationship does indeed take a lot of work. Relationship itself is a work, and the best way we could improve, or we can improve our relationship, is by communicating. Communication plays a big role in relationship.
Right, that's true. Relationship is a lot of work, but with compromise, we can get through the hard part. So tell me, what are some ways you think we can improve communication with our spouse?
Well, 2 ways in which I think we can improve communication is by asking open-ended questions while you're communicating, and also speak less and listen more. The reason why open-ended question is a big part in relationship is because you allow the person to really express themselves, not limiting them to a yes or no. You know, you want to talk, you want to get to know the person more, right? Through the relationship, you're getting to know the person. So you ask questions. How are you today? You know, how was your day? And based on how was your day, that's a complete talk by itself, because they're going to tell you from morning to evening, you understand? And also the next way is by listening more. So for example, you ask the question, how was your day? You listen to what the person is saying. If they're having a rough day, you know, based on how they're talking and the facial expression, you know how they're feeling, and you know, so you listen to like you listen to how they're actually feeling, so you better know how to relate or talk or ask questions just to follow up to let the person know that you're listening, you're interested, and you're there with them.
Right, I need to take you up on that point. I really need to start listening more than I speak, because I'm telling you, sometimes in the heated moments in a relationship with arguments and all, you don't want to listen, you just want to talk, because you want to get all of that off your chest. But it takes 2 to make it work, so you actually have to start listening. And I think that's what is in real life today. Persons aren't asking enough questions, persons aren't actually listening. So we need to start listening. I must try that out with my partner.
I think that's something, that's the thing that I think that's my weakness also. I like, oh my God, I like to talk, I'll talk and not listen, especially if you're not hearing me.
Yeah.
You need to hear what I am saying.
Yeah.
And I am not listening to what you are saying.
Right, we need to work on that. Oh my God, right. So our guest speaker Trevonique is going to tell us what she thinks we can do to improve communication with our spouse. Trevonique, take it away.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so very much for having me today. Now, as you ladies rightly said, relationship, it does takes a lot of work. And in these relationships, in if you want your relationship to work, you got to work. You got to put in the time. You got to make time. And for your relationship, it must be a priority, right? So work, work, work for your relationship. And it makes no sense whatsoever that one person is actually putting in the work. It goes both ways, and it must be natural, because there are persons who can actually pretend as if they love the other party and pretending as if they want the relationship to work. But let me tell you, it does happen that your colors do show at the end of the day. So both parties should work together in order to have the relationship work. Yes, and another important factor is that being open and honest in the relationship is very, very critical. Like for me and my husband, I mean, there was this time where I was talking with my high school boyfriend, right? And we were talking about stuff like from before. Remember, the thing is, I was young at the time. We are married for what? 13 years now. Right? So I am telling you what happened long ago. So we were there, we were talking about stuff, the past and all of that. And he came to me and said, "Honey, I don't like what you're doing, and I mean, what you're talking about to that person." He said that he doesn't think that it is important. You don't think that it is necessary, and it's not respectful. And I had to evaluate myself, and I had to put that aside, and that is also a boundary. So I crossed the boundary. I did not know. I did not know that I was actually jeopardizing my marriage, right? So we sat and we spoke, and we tried to seek ways in which we can accept, understand, and we communicate. That is one thing about myself and my husband. We communicate and we understand things very well, right? And we understand each other very well, right? So being open in the relationship, it is very important. So this is something that we all signed up for. What is the sense in having a relationship? And at the end of the day, you are hiding something, he's hiding something. And when that does happen, then the relationship, it does not have a standing ground where it can work, so we must be able to share our thoughts, our feelings, what's happened, and we must be honest, the situation is that even if the situation is that ugly, and you know that he's gonna get upset, but it still makes sense to be honest and be open about it. And your partner should be your best friend, someone who you confide into, right? So being open in the relationship is very critical. And yes, guys, it is very, very, very important. And your boundaries, bound keeping having boundaries in the relationship is very, very critical also, because like I said about my past, you don't want to be messing around with another person, and there are times because your body look nice and they want to sweet you up and say, "Hey, you look nice," and back then and whatever and all those stuff, they're gonna sweet it up in your ears. So I mean, keep them away. You don't want to jeopardize your relationship, the relationship that you spend time with, to make it work, you know? So it is important that we respect our relationship. It is very, very much important. And we don't want to keep secrets. We don't want to keep secrets in the relationships. It is important to be straightforward in the relationship. Being straightforward, being open, being honest, getting to the point. Getting to the point. It makes no sense beating around the bush, because why? He's going to understand that there is something that you're keeping and you are afraid of letting it out, and you're afraid that the fact that he might get upset, or probably the relationship will end. So before you even think of getting married, try to know your spouse, try to understand them, know your boundaries, talk about boundaries, things that you would like, you think things about things that makes you uncomfortable that he does. Because what if it's a situation where you're both going, on a date, and he's there on the phone and he's texting, and you're both there at the table eating, and you want to know about each other, you go on dates and stuff like that, how would you feel? Then right there, you'd be like, okay, there is something that I don't like, so I'm gonna talk to him about that. Maybe not now, but maybe a different setting. Or if you think that that setting is a good setting to talk about it, then you can do that, right? And sometimes what happens, based on past researches that I've done, there's past researches that were done, it was said that whenever you see red flags, or whenever you see stuff that you are totally disagreeing with, things that you don't like, you speak about it immediately. Because if you don't talk about it immediately, then it goes to show that you agree, you are okay, and you are comfortable with what is going on. And if it's a situation where you allow it to continue, and then when it gets you upset, and now you burst out and you start to speak about everything, then he probably look at it and say, why didn't you say something at the very first time when you saw me? Did it? Why now? Right? So it is best when you talk about stuff, and watch your tone, your body language when you're speaking with them. And as the Bible said, a soft answer turneth away wrath. So we need to watch our tone and our body language when we're speaking with our partner. So yes, these are some ways in which to boost your relationship, to have a good and a good relationship, right? A very honest relationship is the best policy. Thank you guys for having me, and do have yourself a wonderful day.
Yes, honesty. Can you imagine? Honesty is really a big thing. We have to be open, we have to be honest, we have to trust, we have to work on that for our relationship.
Yes, if we want our relationship to work, we have to do this.
Right. And another point is that couples need to send positive feedback, because this is going to spruce things more. It's going to let us communicate more. I mean, if you send me a positive feedback, say for instance I dress nice, and you give me that little positive feedback, and then we talk about that, or if it's a case where we are having a little bit disagreement, but you jump in with something a little bit more positive, then that also improves communication. So we also have to send positive feedback. Wives need to send positive feedback. The husband needs to send positive feedback, and it doesn't have to be wife and husband, girlfriend, boyfriend. We just need to put in a bit of positive feedback. It's surprising how far positivity can go.
Compromising and adoration is being
Right, it is. And let's not forget that with the Bible, God had placed Eve beside Adam for a reason, because husbands need to love their wives and do not be harsh with them. So you need to be open, you need to be honest, we need to ask open-ended questions, we need to send positive feedback, we need to do all of these, and there's so much beyond these 5 points that we're talking about today. So let's just put God in the midst of our relationship, and everything will go the way that we need it to go. Any other thoughts, youngsters?
Well, as you said earlier, it is important that love attention. So if you want a relationship to work, come on.
Yes.
Give her a little compliment, every now and then, and tell her thanks, even though tell her thanks for doing the breakfast. This was lovely. And I think doing these things will indeed improve relationship, even though it is a hard work. This is like a step as to how to reach to the greater part of a relationship.
Yes.
Right?
And this will help the partners to encourage them express themselves, because the encouragement that they receive. And if you realize throughout Jamaica or throughout the world with couples today, most persons aren't being encouraged. So it's like you're in a relationship, and the mere fact that you don't communicate, then you have a hard time being in that relationship. But let me tell you, be with somebody that you can actually communicate with, that's going to love you. Relationship won't be easy, as we stated, it does take work. But once the two persons compromise and put God in the middle, everything will actually work out.
With Christ in the midst, we can
Smile as a star. Thank you for joining us today on Talk of Youth with our guest speaker, Trevonique Campbell. Thank you for joining with us. We really do appreciate it. And Terrian and myself, Rochelle, we do appreciate you guys, and this little talk was so good. See you guys next time on Talk of Youth.